Even though Season 4 of Cobra Kai came out just over a year ago, with Eli defeating Robby for the All-Valley Championship, who was the better fighter between Robby and Eli is still to this day one of the most heavily debated topics in the Cobra Kai community. Today, I'll be answering this question to the best of my ability by analyzing the evidence for both sides, then coming to a verdict. Robby from the start of the season was portrayed to be the most dominant fighter amongst the teens, and we see that he reached the All-Valley Finals without losing a single point, similar to his father Johnny back in the day. During his fight with Eli, he easily scores the first point, but then proceeds to struggle, with Eli later grabbing onto his gi before the timer ran out. By far the most common argument used for Robby is that during sudden death overtime, Robby was able to slam Eli on the mat and was in a position to score but was distracted by Kenny, giving Eli time to recover and counter, which ultimately cost him as he lost the next point, with some Robby fans even arguing that Robby threw the fight or that he didn't care about winning. Another argument I've heard for Robby is that he was able to gain the upper hand on Miguel at prom, and since Miguel and Eli were evenly matched at the tournament, Robby would be the better fighter. This concludes Robby's case. After defecting from Cobra Kai, Hawk joins Eagle Fang and continued his training until he got jumped by Cobra Kai and lost his mohawk, which destroyed his confidence. Afterwards, he joined Miyagi-Do and began learning from Daniel. Unlike Robby, Eli did struggle during the tournament, even losing a point to a random fighter, but this was largely a confidence issue, which he regains before his fight with Kylo and then proceeded to fight evenly against Miguel before his injury disqualified him. During his fight with Robby, he quickly loses the first point, but is later on able to keep up, even using Robby's loosened gi to his advantage and takes him down, seemingly in a position to score a point before the buzzer went off. Of course, the obvious argument for Eli is that he is after all the winner of the fight as he scored the winning point during sudden death overtime. This concludes Eli's case. Looking at the cases of both fighters, who is actually the better fighter? While Robby did easily score the first point against Eli, the reason for this was that Eli was only using Miyagi-Do, which is confirmed by the fact that Daniel gives Eli permission to combine Cobra Kai into his style. This would mean that for every fight up until this point, Eli was only using Miyagi-Do, including his fight with Miguel. After combining both styles, Eli proceeded to score the next point on Robby. While Robby fans believe it was unfair for Eli to use Robby's gi to take him down, you have to remember that this would be completely fine to use in a street fight. During sudden death overtime, Robby was about to score a point but was distracted by Kenny, giving Eli time to counter. Robby also didn't lose his resolve, as we see him slamming the mat in frustration after losing the match. If we gather up the tally and compare both fighters at their best, which would mean an Eli that is using both styles, Robby would have scored 1 point due to Kenny's distraction. Eli, on the other hand, scored 1 point during the first part of their fight, was about to score another before the timer went off, and scored the match-winning point. This would mean that with both fighters at their best, Eli scored 3 points to Robby's 1. Even if you argue that Robby would have blocked the buzzer beater point, Eli would still be up by 2-1. Robby also says himself in Season 5 that Eli won fair and square, therefore Eli was the better fighter.